Hey Run Junkies, race day is fast approaching. You've gotten the training in, you've done all of your foam rolling and stretching and strength training, but what do you need to do to make sure you are fueled up and ready to kill the course? Today we are talking about race day nutrition. Now I'm generally going to assume that you make healthy food choices day to day, and if you have any food sensitivities or allergies, you will take the information I'm about to give you and adapt it to your own needs. I am not a nutritionist or a doctor, so if you have any health concerns about any of this advice, please talk to a medical professional. Generally speaking, if you think your race is going to take you 75 minutes or longer, you will probably want to bring some nutrition on course with you. For anything less than that, you probably just need a little bit of water, but make sure you are paying attention to what your body needs and what the conditions of the day are going to be. First, let's talk about how your running engine works. For everything you've heard about low carb, paleo, or whatever, you as a runner need carbohydrates before and during activity. Our bodies take the carbohydrates and they break it down into glycogen, which gets stored in your muscles and your liver. It's kind of like gasoline in the tank of your car. So when you start your engine, which means you start running, your body is going to start using that gas as fuel. Without carbs, we run out of gas very quickly. So on race morning, prior to race start, get just enough fuel to get you to the start line. I like to have half a bagel with peanut butter, maybe a banana, or maybe even a waffle. Take this on at least an hour before race starts so your body has time to absorb it. By the time you hit the start line, your muscles are primed to fire. So what do we eat during a race? What follows are just a few of my suggestions, but here is a quick word of warning. Anything you plan on using on race day, make sure you've tried it in training first. Okay, let's go back to that glycogen thing. Where do we get the glycogen? From sugar, like sugar. Think gummy bears, Tootsie Rolls, Twizzlers. I eat my kids' fruit snacks. Those are the quick, easy, and inexpensive options. But if you're looking for a more scientifically backed and race-specific fuel for runners, you know, something other than you would get at 7-Eleven for your kids, gels, gummies, and bars are some of your best options. Gels are about the consistency of toothpaste or custard. These are the easiest to carry, fitting into even the smallest pocket in your running shorts. They are also the easiest to consume. You tear off the top, squeeze it all into your mouth, and then wash it down with some water. Now that's the trick. You want to make sure you're taking on plain water after you consume one of these gels. Plain water will help it absorb faster. Take on a couple ounces as soon as you take it, and then a few minutes later, take on a couple more ounces. Then you should be good to go for another 30 to 60 minutes. Gummies are built out of the same stuff as gels, but in a chewable, similar to your kids' fruit snacks. You can also find sport beans. Yes, they are exactly what they sound like, jelly beans formulated for endurance sport. These are also easy to carry, and in some cases they have 2 to 3 servings in each packet. This just allows you to spread out your intake, but the same rules apply when you're consuming these. You want to take on some water right away and then a few more ounces later on. Lastly are the bars or even waffles. I find these are the hardest to consume during races, but they are great for a snack just before the start. Chewing this stuff while running though is tough, so I personally steer clear of these during races. Another word of caution about this from a personal perspective, consuming these items and washing them down with Gatorade or Powerade, that's just too much sugar that our bodies can kind of manage all at once. Your best bet is to wash it down with just plain water to aid in that absorption. I've learned that I either take on goo or Gatorade during a race, but not both. That, for me, is a bad idea. For each brand, you have a seemingly endless array of flavors from which to choose. I also want to point out that a couple of brands carry a regular formula like Goo and a higher caffeine version like Goo Roctane. Again, try both in training. I personally can't stomach the high caffeine version, so I stay clear of these altogether. Also, some brands like Goo have a salted formula. Basically, they just added more sodium into the recipe. I personally like salted caramel from Goo. Those are my favorite. I want to know your favorite. Leave a comment in the box below. Okay, so when do you take on your carbs? That might be just as personal as you are, but whatever you do, make sure you're taking on your nutrition before fatigue sets in. Maybe you have a mileage or a time goal. I know some people in the half marathon will take on nutrition at mile 4, at mile 8, and mile 11. That personally doesn't work for me, so make it work for you. I personally like to take on gel every time my brain starts to space out a little bit. That just tells me me I am needing nutrition at that time, it usually averages out to about an hour. That's when I know I need a little boost. Now the back of the GOO packet says something like 15 before every 45. I have never been sure about what that means, but if your energy is starting to flag a bit, that's the time to take on some nutrition. And I also highly recommend taking advantage of the Spectators on the back half of the course that might have Twizzlers or candy or anything like that. It's never tasted so good than at mile 11 of a half marathon or mile 20 of a full. That sugar pick-me-up will get you to the finish line. One tip I'd like to pass on from personal experience. Some races will have a sponsor provide the gels or nutrition products on course. For example, rock and roll events have GOO and Run Disney events have Cliff Shots. Make sure you've trained with it ahead of time so you know if it works for you on race day. If it doesn't work for you, you know to carry your own nutrition. Also, no matter how much I plan on consuming, I always bring at least one extra depending on the distance. For a full marathon, I'll bring 3 extra GOO. Bringing extra GOO is a good idea because you don't know if you're gonna drop one along the way and you won't notice, or you might need an extra shot to get you to the finish line. But that's it for my race day nutrition tips. My question for you today is this: what is your favorite product and or flavor? Please leave your thoughts and comments in the box below, and as always, give me that thumbs up if you like this video. That's it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. Go find your awesome. Until next time, happy running.